Coinicarus.
Hello, LC.
What's up, bro?
Not much. You?
Not much, man. Not much.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me well?
Yeah, can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect. It's just because I'm doing this on my phone. So if you find that the audio quality isn't good, I can rejoin on my computer with a mic.
Nah, it's all good, man. I'm doing it on a set of Apple headphones.
All
Pleb
right,
life.
sweet. So which do you just like start recording right away and this is what you release, or do you have like a set part where you start the chat?
I mean, this is kind of how it's recording right now. I'm gonna fire it off. I mean, it started recording when you joined, so
Okay,
I feel like there's a lot of
cool.
really smooth stuff out there for people to consume, and it's time to give them some raw pleb life. You know what I mean?
Nice. I love it. So is this your first? Is this the first show?
This is the first episode. I had a boy of mine lined up to come
Nice.
on and do the first episode, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm kind of tied up for a couple of weeks," and I hit you up, and you were good, so here we are.
Sweet. Awesome. I like that. That's cool. Yeah, this is it's definitely fun to do to do this kind of material. I think that a lot of it is lacking. I think that there's way too many people that really want to be seen as experts, and they're trying to produce this, this, don't get me wrong, excellent material, very thoughtful material, but you know what, at the end of the day, like, this is not like the average person, like that's not what they're listening to necessarily, and that's not necessarily how they're going to get into Bitcoin. That might actually scare them off a little.
That's the conversation that I had that got me here. Like, I had a conversation with another pleb, and I was like, "Listen, I'm a podcast junkie, right? But even me, somebody who's been a Bitcoiner for a few years now, like, I get on and I listen to Matt Odell, and I'm enthusiastic to learn and enthusiastic to listen to it, but at some point I'm fucking lost in the gibberish.
Yeah, exactly. It's
You know what
yeah,
I mean?
for sure. You get into Bitcoin and you realize you're like, there's a whole entire new language that I need to learn so that I can understand what it is that these people are talking about exactly. And
Yes,
and it can be intimidating.
absolutely. I feel like a brain surgeon when I'm talking to my family because they don't know shit. And then I get on like Bitcoin Twitter and I start talking to some people who know their shit, and I'm like, I'm fucking retarded. I don't know anything.
it's it's funny, right? Like it's a funny feeling. You always feel like at least for me anyways, like you're one of the dumbest people there, but the reality is that almost everybody feels this way. And something that you know I always remind myself is that there's always going to be somebody smarter than you. So it's like the sooner you can accept that, the sooner that you can just be happy with the knowledge that you absorb, right? And that you understand. Because if you can explain one part of Bitcoin very clearly to somebody that is a complete no coiner, that's a great thing. And most of us can't. I mean, it's yeah. I remember trying to explain it to people when I first got into it, and I was doing a terrible job of explaining it to people. Today I can, like, my points have been refined. I've spoken with enough people. It's you kind of like you can meet somebody where they're at.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it's all about planting the seed,
Oh,
right?
100.
Because I was reading the other day on Twitter, right? Somebody was talking about how you can't really force anybody to get Bitcoin. Like, I can cram all the Michael Saylor interviews down your throat I want, but if you're not ready and willing to like open up your ears and listen, then you're not going to get Bitcoin. So what I feel like as plebs, like interacting with what I like to call like earthlings, right? When we interact with earthlings, like, we got to say something to them that plants a seed in their mind that when they're bored taking a shit and they have their phone out, they're like, "Hey, I'm going to look up some of that Bitcoin shit." You know what I mean? Like, that's how I got it.
100%. 100%. I mean, look, I came to it, from the medium of exchange. Like, for me, it had nothing to do with number go up technology or any of that shit. And sadly, when I got into it really early on, and Bitcoin was dirt cheap compared to now, like in the 400s. I saw the price fluctuating, and I honestly didn't give a shit, because for me, I was just using it to buy stuff, and all I cared about was that I was getting more or less, of what I was buying. So for me, it didn't even click that, like, this thing is more than any of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, 100%. Not everybody comes to it from this, like, very studious method.
Yeah. I remember, I mean, I had a friend of mine, not even a friend of mine, right? This kid that I worked on a construction crew with, who was younger than me, and he was like good at his job, so I didn't like him. You know what I mean? He was like younger than me and good at his job, so I'm like, fuck you, you haven't been here long enough.
Yeah, exactly.
And he was like telling me in like 17, he was like, man, this Bitcoin thing, you got to buy. I'm like, shut the fuck up with your fake money. Like, I'm not trying to hear that. And I watched him like make this dumb amount of money, right, on that big pump. And I was like, yo, maybe there's something to this, right? So like I bought in, and I bought in at like the top.
Oh
You know what
yeah.
I mean? But I didn't buy in enough that it mattered to me. You know what I'm saying? I think I spent like $1,000 or something. And I just kind of took that and like I put it away. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. And then, as time has gone by, and like, last year, especially 2020, you know what I mean? Like watching all the shit that went down, I was like, it's time to find an alternative.
Oh, exactly. We have absolutely, there is no choice. And what's really crazy is that if you were stacking, okay, and people, and people were buying, let's say from the 2017, 2018, well, I should say more the 2018, 2019 bear market. Um, I mean, during COVID, I know it sounds terrible. There's a lot of people that really had it rough, but if you had Bitcoin and you stacked Bitcoin for that amount of time, you probably did really well. So, it's not, people think of us sometimes as, these toxic assholes that that are all like end of the world, we want everything to crumble. And it's like, no, it's quite the opposite. We are actually, like, freedom maximalists. And we believe that the future can be brighter, but we also understand that our money is broken, and as a result the incentives don't work properly. Okay, and we are incentivized to do terrible things over and over again. And you know what, we think that by fixing the base layer of money, that we could change that, and we think that that's going to fix society, and we think that that's going to help people. So we're actually pretty positive. And it just goes to show. And I see it this way, that what happened in the last year and a half or so, um it just goes to show that something like Bitcoin is needed. Why shouldn't a person be able to store their value in this way,
Yeah,
right?
100%. Absolutely.
Cool.
So I think I have a list of some, some topics, we'll say, that I wrote up.
Nice.
If you don't mind, we can kind of go through that list and kind of take it where the conversation takes us, I suppose.
Yeah, man, let's hit it up.
All right. Oh, yeah. Before that, I'd like to say shout out to all the Moscow meme tards fucking murdering it today. And we are definitely in it for that fug technology. You know what I mean? That
It's
fuck you,
true.
Greg technology. So I wanted to get that out the way because I told Greg that I was going to shout him out. You know what I mean? So,
Nice. Fuck
all
you,
right.
Greg. We love.
So, yeah. um, so I guess really, there's so much shit happened this week, right?
Oh
So many
yeah.
cheap sats. Um, what do you think about this whole BlockFi thing?
Oh, what with the fact that they gave out, like, what was it, like 700 BTC of reward, like that? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's, I mean, like, okay, so you know what? It's really, it just goes to show that these platforms, right? As much as this it kind of worked out, right? They gave people more, but at the same time, it just goes to show that these people aren't paying attention. Okay, and if they are, then they're being fools. And I would never want to leave any of my Bitcoin there. Like, not only is it a centralized platform where you have zero, I mean, really, you have no control. People do not understand until the exchanges disappear. If you were around in 2017, okay, like, you put your Bitcoin on an exchange, you come back to it the day after, it's gone. The exchange is gone, everything's just gone. Okay, like that it just happened. Okay, and like it's not like it can't happen again. And I'm not saying that BlockFi is just going to disappear from one day to the next, but they've already proven themselves pretty incompetent, and they rehypothecate the Bitcoin. So they gave out fucked rewards, okay, and on top of that, they rehypothecate it. So, anyways, they suck.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is that they gave out all these rewards. They're giving away. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but they're giving away somebody's Bitcoin
That's
because
what
they
I
take your
understood too.
Bitcoin and they're holding it and they're loaning it out to other people. So if they're giving out this massive reward, they're giving away some other plebs fucking Bitcoins.
Their account though. Like, because it's all their system, right? Like, that's another thing about about these centralized exchanges. Like, once your Bitcoin is on that exchange, okay, if you're sitting there and trading and stuff like that, all of that is all done on their platform. It's never leaving their platform. So, yeah, to your point, I wonder if it even showed that your Bitcoin was missing.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And there's actual Bitcoiners that work for them. I don't know who they are, but that's what I was
They're
told.
not actual Bitcoiners. Let's be real. People like McCormick
True.
and shit who shill that garbage are not fucking real Bitcoiners.
No, I agree.
They're not. They're the people that you were talking about that are here to get famous and to have people look at them and go, "Ooh, please take me out for a drink at Miami, please. Oh my God, you're so famous. Who gives a fuck? You're another
They
pleb.
they did. Sorry.
Plebs are plebs. You know what I mean? That's what these people don't get.
No, I totally agree. It's you know what sometimes, like, you kind of think that maybe, if it wasn't for Bitcoin, they wouldn't, they wouldn't be doing anything.
Oh fuck
So
no. McCormick would be bagging groceries if he was not fucking making a podcast for Bitcoin.
the
Facts.
the Pedro cast.
Yes, the Pedro cast. He'd be bagging fucking groceries in the East End of London. Facts.
And for the record, okay, you don't get orange pilled by a podcast like that. What people make this stupid assumption that there's this fucking funnel. This is something else I don't understand. Okay, like, I did not get orange pilled by any funnel. I don't know anybody who has been orange pilled by some stupid funnel idea where you listen to crappy podcasts at the beginning that fill you services, and then you eventually get to the plebe casts or the pleb casts and the Stefan Lavera casts, where they're like, drilling into your head like all the, the crazy information about Bitcoin. Like, none of that is true. Okay, like that, like you find Bitcoin. Okay, usually it's by some stupid means like mainstream media or like who knows, YouTube algo shill, or you need magic internet money because you're buying sketchy things. But like, that's orange pilled, and then you start to search for info. Okay, and there's no top. And anyways, I hate that idea.
No, absolutely. You're right. I feel the same way. Um, what about everybody's favorite topic this week? And we'll be brief on it because it's fucking annoying at this point. But Elon and all the energy FUD.
Oh my god, we were reporting on this on Simply Bitcoin, and he just said something stupid tonight. Also, yeah, it just never stops. I think that it's really interesting. It's a change in narrative. If people zoom out and look at what happened, right? He said that he did a Bitcoin liquidity test, but it just so happened that it fell in line with their quarterly earnings, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if your audio is like messing.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if it's
Oh,
that
okay.
you or me.
I can't tell.
Yeah, me either. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So yeah, there was, he did, there was that. And then, of course, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he starts this energy FUD where we know for a fact that he had tweets where he clearly agreed with the energy properties and the proposition of Bitcoin as a clean, as using more and more clean energy going forward. Like there was a tweet that Jack made, like I don't like back in April, that he totally agreed to. So he's, this wishy-washy shit that like he's doing. I mean, it's maybe great publicity for him. He seems to be a sociopath, but it's really stupid. And at the same time, I also, putting the conspiracy hat on, I have to think that he's being influenced by people either to look, either it's nefarious and they're genuinely trying to get people to move over to Doge, which could be a chain that they could control, or which I highly doubt. But if we're just putting it out there, the other thing is that they're pushing Bitcoin down so that they can, so that these bigger institutions can buy it, and they're using Elon as a like a FUD machine, because he technically owes them, right? Like, let's be honest, Tesla, they get money from the government. Like, that was the other thing, right? In order to get a certain amount of money, I forget what it was, but you can Google all this shit. They had to go and show earnings, so they
Right.
sold Bitcoin. So it's and then called it a liquidity test. So it's all of this mirage, this total smoke and mirrors that he's pulling.
Can we be honest too, right? If we're being honest here, right? Can we talk about the fucking LARPers on BT that were like, oh, he didn't sell to show a profit? Well, everybody likes sucking Elon's dick, and then
Oh
all
my!
of a sudden Elon turns around and does this shit, which anybody who's been paying attention to Elon for more than fucking 6 months is not surprised. And they're like, oh, fuck him. He's so terrible. Let's fucking spam him. Like, bro, you were sucking his dick fucking 3 months ago because he bought Bitcoin. Oh my God, Elon's here.
It's
The
true.
fuck out of here.
It's true.
Fake. LARPers, bro. LARPers.
It's true. And even, you know what, even on Simply Bitcoin, when we were talking about it, and I was asked my opinion, look, I always reserve it. Look, it's nice to see somebody come around, but at the same time, you're not going to sit there and put these people on a pedestal, okay? Because they have different, this is something I learned in investing, right? Everybody has a different timeline than you. Everybody has a different goal than you. So just because some guy like Elon's coming around with his fucking bags, like, who gives a shit? I mean,
Yeah.
like, yes, it's nice and it makes noise and everybody's happy, but like, we don't need Elon, like that's just not something we need.
No, not at all.
So,
So kind of a good spin-off from this, right? I don't know if you follow him at all. I don't follow him personally, but you've been in the investing world, so maybe you do. But Portnoy and his fucking horse shit with SafeMoon.
you know what? I only followed him recently. I did not even know about him from when I was buying and selling stocks on the side. I only heard about him in Bitcoin, and when he decided to get in with the Winklevi, and get those bags of shitcoin and Bitcoin and then dump them with his weak hands.
The Winklevi. Can we say it now and put it on public record that when you call them the Winklevi, they sound like a bad Bond villain?
They are a bad Bond villain. They totally are, man, 100%. I don't see how they're not. Like they have to be the two dumbest smart guys in the room. Like,
Oh yeah.
I've never seen like, it's like, you guys could be amazing, but you choose to suck. Like, how does that, anyways? How does that even work? But SafeMoon, I don't know. I don't know much about it. I just know that unfortunately I was asked about it by somebody at work, and that was depressing.
Yes.
So there was that.
Yes, I've gotten to the point, honestly, where like I've been trying to get my older brother, to buy Bitcoin for a while, right? And I finally convinced him, and he was like, "Yo, I'm buying," and I was like, "Awesome, dude, awesome, buy."
Nice.
Calls me up 3 days later. I was like, "How'd it go?" He's like, "So I bought some Bitcoin, and I bought some Ethereum, and I bought some Chainlink, and I'm really thinking about opening up a Robinhood account to buy some Doge because that's going crazy right now."
Oh my god.
Bro, I texted him back and I was like, I'm liquidating all of my holdings and buying Doge. I highly recommend you do the same. You deserve what you get. I've been telling you for 6 months, 8 months to buy Bitcoin. I didn't even mention any of that other garbage. And you went on and it was shiny and it was a pretty color and you bought it. You're an idiot.
true. People just don't understand, right? It's they think that they think that we're just mean, like that's what it is. Like, oh, you're being an asshole, you're just being toxic. But what they don't understand is this, right? That technology doesn't need to be money. Okay, that technology can exist, but in no way does it require a token. And what it
Correct.
is that they scammed you out of your Bitcoin and they gave you this shitcoin. Like it makes no sense to pay for file storage with a special coin that accrues file storage interest because people are storing files. Like it doesn't need that. That makes no sense. Why wouldn't it just okay, so then why doesn't it just accrue interest with your into your credit card? Or why doesn't it just use Bitcoin interest and give you Satoshi? Like it doesn't make any sense that it needs to be a special token. And it's the same thing when it comes to, when it comes to even, I mean, look, when it even comes to privacy tokens, right? At the same time, you can sit there and you can put yourself behind, a VPN. You can use Tor, and I know that there are Tor vulnerabilities and stuff like that, and you can use Lightning. Okay, and at that point, good luck to anybody tracing those transactions if you're so desperate, to be private. Like you really don't need a shitcoin to do it. And then of course there's coin joins. So it's to me like it just seems ridiculous that you need a special token for that technology. Bitcoin is the only one that actually solves the problem that, as we know, right? Which is the problem of money.
The reality is, all of these shit coins only get the pumps and the recognition that they get because the majority of people are so misinformed that you need to be on some shit exchange in order to buy Bitcoin when Bitcoin was designed to be peer to peer. If we could get more back to peer like HODL HODL, you wouldn't be worried about having privacy coins and hiding behind things. If you're running things through a VPN, into cold storage, through HODL HODL, if you're not buying from a bank account, there's so many steps you can take to make things so much more quote unquote private than, signing up for Gemini and buying some Bitcoin with your checking account that's linked to your social security number.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like that's the other thing too, right? Like things like HODL HODL and Bisq, they've come a long way. I kind of like I'm torn with it, right? Because like I've used Bisq and I find it's like for the average user, I just don't think the experience is there. But it's getting closer. I think HODL HODL is a little bit of an easier experience. But HODL HODL, if you're in the US, you gotta go through a VPN. So
Yeah. There's too many, there's
which is fine.
those small gaps that we can fill, you know what I mean, as a community to help the average person be like, hey, don't be afraid when you hear the word VPN. It's not something scary. It literally takes 10 seconds to set up. Like, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? People get scared. I mean, trying to get my mother to buy some Bitcoin, I mean, I got her to buy it, but it was like, I might as well have been speaking from another planet. She was just looking at me like I was insane.
Oh
It
yeah.
was all gibberish.
But to your point about the VPNs, right? At this point, it's like it's an app and you turn it on and that's it. Like you could do it on your phone. Like I have a VPN, like on my phone, on my laptop. It's like it's super easy to turn on. It's really they've made it a no-brainer at this point.
Exactly.
You actively have to choose to make it complicated. But yes, going back to the original thing of what you're talking about, right? Like, these all of these privacy coins, yes, the centralized exchanges, they introduce this risk. They, you know, the current landscape makes it possible, okay? The amount of ignorance that's out there, the amount of false information that's out there makes it possible for these shitcoins to live. And I remember when I was a shitcoiner, I mean, this stuff sounds so good. Like I was reading white papers, man. I at one point, okay, so when I started, there was only 1,800 shitcoins. Okay. And believe it or not, you could actually categorize them. Like I sat there, I spent weeks. Okay. I spent weeks making like how to set my money on fire. Okay. So like I planned this destruction. So like I looked through all of them. I went through them all through market cap, how many coins they had. I had figured out the limited supply aspect of Bitcoin. Okay. And I was like, okay, so the next big coin is going to have a smaller limited supply. Guess what? There's shit coins that have like 21,000. you know, or like 8,000 or whatever it is. Like no one's using that shit. It has like zero liquidity. Yeah, anyways, so yeah, you get enamored by this crap. You get enamored by the crap. Okay, you get totally sucked in, like you said, like by the the pretty colors, the pretty lights. It all sounds so good, the technology, but at the end of the day, you got to think to yourself, why is every single person look at the Bitcoin market cap, okay? Why? And I don't like market cap as a metric necessarily, but think of the amount of value, the amount of energy, the hash power, everything that goes into Bitcoin. Why the hell would that move to your shitcoin? Because it's got a faster block time, because you introduced more centralization and you took away the one thing that makes Bitcoin Bitcoin. Nobody wants
Yeah.
that. Makes no fucking sense.
In reality, you shouldn't, at this point, with the state, until InStrike does its thing and Jack Mallers takes over the world, like, you shouldn't be doing a transaction on the main chain that you need in less than 10 minutes. Like,
That's true.
what could possibly, it's not like your corner bodega sells a cup of coffee in Bitcoin yet. So this whole like, oh, it's so fast, like, that's great, it's so fast, but Bitcoin is the most popular cryptocurrency in the world, right? So if my corner bodega isn't going to sell me a cup of coffee in Bitcoin, they're sure as fuck not going to sell it to me in sushi or a fucking Filecoin or fucking some other bullshit that you came out with this week. Like, it's just not real. Oh, it's fast, but nobody fucking uses it.
Nobody uses it.
Oh God.
Oh man. But I'm sorry. There was a good point to that, and I just totally lost it.
Well, it's funny because my question on the list was your shitcoin cautionary tale, because I had heard you briefly talk about it on Fun with Bitcoin. So what was the transition? What was the tipping point for you that got you like out of shitcoin and you were like, fuck this, it's only Bitcoin. It's only Bitcoin.
Okay. So it's pretty, I mean, it's terrible. But like, essentially, right, what happened was that I was a horrible shitcoiner. Okay. I knew that Bitcoin was the one, but I was like, like everybody else, right? I'm going to get the next Bitcoin. I was sure of it. So I had bought like, several shit coins. And this was the point where like Bitcoin was pumping and like the big shit coins were pumping, but like my bags were not pumping. Okay. Like I had put like at this point, I had close to like probably at least like at least $22,000 in like all throughout shit coins. And I barely had any Bitcoin. Okay. Like barely anything, like probably like maybe 5% of a Bitcoin. Anyways, and which I'm not saying is not that much, but like for me, in considering how much Bitcoin I had way more Bitcoin than I have today. And anyways, okay,
It's all
so
relative.
it's all relative. So what happened was, so I had all these shitcoin bags, and my buddy tells me 100% this shitcoin is gonna pump. Like he knows somebody on the dev team, and like 100% this thing is gonna pump. And I had been holding this other shit coin. I'm not even getting into names because I don't want anybody to look at this garbage. It's not worth it. Like nobody needs to know. It's just garbage. It's all garbage.
Exactly.
Okay? So anyways, so what happened was that I'd been holding this other shit coin for like 4 months. Okay. It was like one of these dirt cheap ones, like 46 Satoshis or something like that. And what happened was that, my buddy totally convinces me, he's like, let's just move everything we have into this. And like, this will be the move. And I'm like, all right, let's do this. So I sold off all of my shit coins and I poured it into this one giant shit coin. Okay. And to me, because I was an idiot, I was buying the top of that shit coin. Like I was definitely like I bought the fucking top, man, so what happens, right, when you buy the top? Well, it starts to go down. And of course the shitcoin that I had well over you know a quarter of a million of, well, it went up from 46 satoshis approximately to over 1800. So yeah, like I totally I got blown out, right? Like my shitcoin dropped to now, like, it's 2 cents. You can't even get rid of it. There's no exchanges that accept it.
Oh,
It's like you're just dead, right? It's like all that money's gone. And like so for me, like I was like, holy shit, like not only did I lose out on probably like, $80,000 to $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, because of course my whole point was to get Bitcoin. That was the key, right? Like the key is to get more Bitcoin.
always.
And that was it. And I had missed out on getting Bitcoin, and at the same time I was holding a fucking bag of zero. So that's when I realized, I was like, okay, like why did I come here? And that's when I started to really just focus on Bitcoin. I'm like, if I'm going to understand something, I'm like, I need to understand the main one. I'm like, Bitcoin is the one. I'm like, all of these other shit coins are tethered to Bitcoin. I'm like, they're all valued in Bitcoin. I'm like, why is this thing so special? And that was really the moment, like when I got wrecked in that way.
Maybe you should reach out to Elon. He seems to have a plug for the phantom devs. Maybe you can get that. Maybe you can get them bags worth something. You know what I mean?
he knows and that's right. He's working. Look, he's working with the Doge devs. Did you see the tweets? Did you see tweets? There's tweets from Doge devs where they're like, yeah, we can't use any of the code that we're using to do what Elon thinks we're gonna do. Like, yeah,
I went on to the page where you have to like submit, and they were like, there was like some nonsensical shit, and then at the bottom they're like, yeah, we are not doing any of this. None of this is gonna happen. We're just gonna stay exactly the way we are.
Man, if you go look at their, okay, look, I'm not a coder, okay, I'm not gonna pretend or anything like that, but there's one of the tricks that I was taught was you go take a look at the GitHubs, and if they have like 400 like pull requests for the README files, you know that they're not doing anything, like, because that's what happens, right, on fake projects, because they know that people are going to go look at commits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you could sit there and you can sit there and do a whole bunch of commits to the README file. Like anybody could sit there and add text. It doesn't take a coder to add text to a GitHub file, to a file you created there. So it's just funny. And like that's like, man, if you go take a look at Doge, there's like these minor little fixes here and there, and it's a whole bunch of commits to the README files, to the README file. So it's just funny.
I have to say that probably the most bullish shit that I've seen this week was the fact that the actual Doge devs just dunked on Elon's idea right on GitHub. It was fucking dope. That was probably the most bullish shit I've seen. That they gave less of a fuck about him than we seem to.
Man, you know what? It's just hilarious, right? When it comes to Doge, it's such a double-edged sword, right? Like, I hate everything besides Bitcoin. I can't stand.
Me too.
But Doge is funny. It's like I hate it. Like I don't think it can be money. I don't think it's going to help anybody. But I also think it's funny at the same time. So
yes,
it's like it's one of those things.
Yes, I was listening to Ben the Carman, and I was like, me too, because he's like, I remember telling somebody who was like, oh, I'm gonna buy Doge at 9 cents, and I was like, bro, don't buy fucking Doge, just buy Bitcoin. And then like now it just pumps in your face, and you're like, I'm not wrong, I'm just like, I'm wrong for right now, but I'm not fucking wrong. Like, it's not money. You're not gonna, you know what I mean?
So look, zoom out. This is the whole thing, right? And I think this is what I wanted to say before that I forgot. But a lot of these shit coins, right? When you zoom out on a monthly chart and you look at these things for their lifespan, what do you see? You see a bunch of flat lines and spikes. Flat lines and spikes. They always go back to almost near zero. Okay? And then they go and they spike up for a time and then they come back. So for a short period of time, many people seem like geniuses. I know, like I was, for short periods of time, I was a genius too. Like and then I wasn't. Like that's what happens to them. And of course you have all kinds of people that will tell you that. My favorite thing is this, right? You always have people that get in at the bottom and get out at the top. Everyone gets in at the bottom and gets out at the top.
Yeah.
That's, man, everyone's perfect. For some reason, there's no losers. Trust me, it's all fucking losers. Okay? It's tons of losers. It's very few people actually making anything. Okay. And at the end of the day, right, if we talk about like why we're here, we're, Bitcoin is here to change. It's here to we're here to get rid of the central banks. Like, this is all fun and games right now, fucking around with fiat and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, we don't want to be controlled by the central bank. We don't want people to, we don't want this small group of faceless people to sit there and essentially have us as slaves, where our value is where our value is constantly, driven lower because they decide they need to own it at a cheaper rate. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't give a shit. I don't understand why anybody deserves that. You know, like, every single
Absolutely.
person, right, deserves to store their value.
Yeah. See, for me, I was trying to explain this to somebody the other day. Like, for me, that Bitcoin is not about, I mean, it's great, and yes, all of these wonderful things, all the things you just said, but for this pleb, like, Bitcoin reestablishes, makes that dream real for me and my family that my great grandparents had when they came here from the Azores. Like, they had this dream, like, if I work hard and I just save my money and I don't live frivolously, I can have a nice life. And like, that has been stolen away from us somewhere along the line. Like, I remember, turning 25, 26, 27 and being like, everything they told me was a fucking lie. Like, I'm a normal fucking guy. I can't go out and buy a house. I can't save for retirement. Social Security's going up in smoke. My 401k is not going to be worth dick if another fucking crash comes. Like, this whole American dream has died with like what the central bankers have done to us. And like, to have Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin gives a normal pleb like me hope that, like, I can spend more time with my kids, raising my kids, and less time selling my time for shitty fiat that's getting devalued by the day.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And to your point, right? Like you said, like, we're just a normal guy. Like, man, like, I go do a normal, quote unquote normal career, like, I'm tech support, and man, I'm not an investment genius or anything like that. Like, you shouldn't have to make it a part-time job for you to come home and have to learn how to invest. So what happens, right? Because they know that because it's understood that that's not really possible. Okay. I mean, it kind of is if you have the discipline, but at the same time, if you have a family to raise and everything like that, it takes a lot more than discipline. I mean, at that point, you're stuck neglecting people for this, which is not necessarily correct, as we've seen with what's happened to families. But like, like, you're not going to sit there and learn all this stuff. So what are you going to do? You're going to go and give your money to some fucking financial planner. And like, don't get me wrong, man, but these people don't give a shit. Like, if you're lucky, I shouldn't even say if you're lucky, because you'll get like some family friend that hopefully won't rip you off, right? And
Hmm.
if you're lucky, then they don't rip you off and they end up making good investments for you. Or you go to like a smaller investment house that again is shared amongst your peers. But again, right? How many people know about that? Right? Like, the average person, like, the really, like, every, like, just every single person, like, teacher, a mechanic, a carpenter, like, just a plumber, like, electrician, like, why they're, why should they have to be, why should they have to become investment geniuses? They shouldn't. They should be able to store their time. All of us should just be able to store our time. And for some reason, what, the central bankers, they're so fucking greedy that they even stole our futures away from us that way. Like, think about it. Like,
Absolutely.
imagine the level of sociopath, like, piece of shit that you have to be to steal a whole bunch of futures. And not only that, but it's completely hidden. So it's a fantastic fucking trick, you know?
Oh yeah. When you start telling, when I was explaining to, people I know, like, hey, you remember 2008 and how all that shit went down? Did you know that it's now written into law that if that shit happens again, the bank is just going to clean out your fucking account and give you an IOU. In law, that is written. They didn't tell you about that, but all that shit got passed behind the scenes. And like, you know, when you start reading books and like learning some shit about the Bitcoin like life and about the whole premise of being like a maxi, right? That's the shit that you learn. Like, you know, I read Parabolic's book there. And he talks about that shit, about, you know, all this shit that happened behind the scenes between 2008 and now, where they're just like continuing to fuck you behind the curtain and you have no idea that it's happening. And like, you know, there's people that the best shit I've heard is, you know, they started printing money last year and everybody kind of looked at each other like, why the fuck am I paying taxes if you can just print money?
Exactly.
Well, like, why do you need mine?
This is exactly, you know, this is exactly it. And that's why when I hear the stupidity, I have to relate this back to shitcoins, okay? Because I hear this idiotic crap about Ethereum, you know, how like, well, they're going to have a, they're going to have a lower, what is it, you know, bigger deflation than, you know, than Bitcoin, because we're going to, you know, we're going to burn tokens or whatever it is. Okay. So look, when you don't have a maximum supply and you burn part of the existing money supply, what does that do to the value? Absolutely nothing. Because you could always just print more of it. Like,
But
it's
well,
so
Vitalik's dumping
stupid.
bags on noobs right now anyway. So
Exactly, right? Like they just dumped like what, like 34,000 ETH or something from the ETH Foundation. Hey, you got
yeah,
to keep the lights on, man. Got to
yeah,
keep those
gas fees are
corporations.
astronomical.
But you
It's
know,
super ultrasound money that costs you fucking $700 to send a transaction, and you better hope it goes through because they keep your 700 regardless.
so you know what, in you know, in all seriousness, that like what this is what people don't realize. Okay, so for those of like, you know, I think a lot of times we dump on shit coins and people think that we've never actually used them. Like I've used Ethereum, okay,
Oh
and
yeah,
it's a complete fucking shit coin. It's actually just gas if you think about it. ETH is really just gas, so you can move your fucking other shit coins that are made on it around. And what people don't realize is, okay, is that when you buy these stupid fucking shit coins, they can change the smart contract address on you. And then all of a sudden, all your bags are completely worthless unless you convert it over to the new address. Okay. That type of shit doesn't fucking happen with Bitcoin. Okay. It only happens with the fucking, with the stupid shit coins. You know, the other thing about it is I've actually had transactions disappear where you did a transaction, it said that it went through, it completely disappeared, and then all of a sudden shows up 20 minutes later and it failed. Okay,
yeah.
like that makes no sense. That's never going to be money. I'm sorry, like nobody's doing that complex shit. Okay, like nobody's sitting there going to send something and then tagging on a gas fee to it to make it run. Like you think that Bitcoin's difficult?
Yeah,
And that's why, like, I honestly think a lot of these shitcoiners have never actually used their own shitcoins.
never,
So it's pathetic. Like, if you're gonna sit
never.
there and tout this crap, at least use it and know why, you know, why you're sitting there and touting it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the nail in the coffin for me, anytime anybody wants to be like, oh, should I buy ETH too, or you know, look at this over here. It's like you realize that Binance created a chain that if you put the addresses side by side, you can't tell the difference between that and an Ethereum address. He literally just more centralized created the Ethereum network all over again. I would love to see somebody try to do that with Bitcoin. I would love to because it never fucking works ever. And yet he did it and it's prospering in the shit in I should say prospering in the terms of how well I guess a shitcoin can prosper. But
Yeah,
it fucking blows my mind.
it's, you know what it is, right? Like CZ has the rest of the world, and the thing is that, you know, whether we like him or not, and just to be clear, I can't stand what he does. The this kind of like virtue signaling that he pulls, tries to make it look like part of the community, like with their stupid taproot signaling question. Oh, we should ask the community. Like he gives a fuck. Okay,
They
and
put
then
me
like
in Twitter jail for dunking on him. because I called him a cunt and a soy boy and told him that only cunts make posts with voting that only the people you follow can vote on, you fucking homo. And they put me in fucking lockdown.
You gotta love them, right? The censorship machine that is Twitter. No, but seriously, like, look, BSC, Binance is a huge platform. It has stood the test of time. I obviously don't use it because it's a shitcoin platform and I don't shitcoin, so I have no reason to be there. And the thing is that people don't really understand how much whitewashing goes on. I mean, look, he owns the platform. It's his token. What do you think? You think there's nothing sketchy going on there? Not you personally, but you know what I mean. Like, are people really like a person can't be that blind, right? To think that there's nothing sketchy going on. I mean, come on. Like, what value is that token truly providing? Again, when I was a shitcoiner, I used Binance. Okay, and look, what do you think Binance? What do you think BNB is used for? It's gas. It's another gas coin, except it's gas for your trading. So again, it's like you said, it's just like ETH, but it's even more centralized than ETH, and it's just providing, again, more shitcoin services for the shitcoin casino. And look, people are attracted by, things that glitter.
People love to gamble. Shitcoins will always be around, and there will always be more and more and more and more shitcoins.
This is the other thing, right? Like, you've got like the fashion Bitcoin maximalists that will tell you that like shitcoins will die. Okay. And I'd love to believe that. I'd love to believe that shitcoins will die, but at the same time, I've come to the realization that unfortunately they won't, because I know that penny stocks haven't died. And penny stocks, to me, like, shitcoins are the equivalent to penny stocks. That's exactly what it is. It's
an insult to penny stocks.
I know it is an insult to penny stocks, because some of them could become big, right? But the reality is that a huge portion of them are absolute garbage. And like, when it comes to shitcoins, like, that is, if we're going to, create the layman term equivalent, we're going to say, okay, it's, equal it to a penny stock. But you're absolutely right. It's much worse than a penny stock.
The problem with shitcoins is the same problem with penny stocks. And so I kind of wanted to talk about this, right? That you can't equate the feeling you have. I guess you can if you buy right before Bitcoin takes off on a bull run and you ride it all the way up before the retraction. I guess that's probably pretty close. But the feeling when you buy 5,000 shares of a penny stock and it fucking quintuples overnight and you cash out and you're like, holy shit, I could be a millionaire doing this. You have no idea that, like you just said, 99.9% of the penny stocks are dog shit. You got lucky. You're not a trader. And coming off of this past year, I think that's a lot of what we're seeing in the market, right? Is that coming off of this past year, a lot of people started opening Webull accounts and Robinhood accounts. Every fucking dickhead outside on FinTwit is a fucking professional trader going to tell you how to be a millionaire with a picture of their rented Lamborghini. So you come off of that season, and I'm speaking from experience, right? You come out of that season where you've just made probably more money than you make in a fiscal year at your job. And you think you're a trader. Like, you think you know how to trade. But what you don't realize is that every single thing in the market went up. So all you had to do was buy, and you made money. So you have all these people now that the stock market itself has, ever since Inauguration Day, just been taking a massive shit. You have all those people now pushing over into the quote-unquote cryptocurrency world, which is really just Bitcoin and shitcoins. And they think that they're gonna, like, I posted something the other day that was like, every technical analysis dickhead right now is like, oh, this is exactly what I called a double reverse up and 3 times back with a bounce back. And I called that, still buy my TA course, because nobody fucking knows what they're looking at when it comes to cryptocurrency. The fucking markets are so young. that, you know, all the Glassnode shit is great. And, you know, big shout out to the guys that post that stuff. I love to see it. And it's very interesting to me. And I don't speak it, but the fact of the matter is the guys that are transferring over from flipping some penny stocks and making some money on fucking Tesla stock and whatever the fuck else, they think they're going to come in and they're going to buy some shit coins and they're going to continue this trend of getting rich that they found in 2020 in the market. And the fact of the matter is more often than not, like we talk about all the time, they're going to get fucking wrecked. They're going to get fucking wrecked. And they're going to look back and be like, fuck, you know, the cryptocurrency space as a whole, which is unfortunate because Bitcoin is the only fucking thing that's going to save you from the hamster wheel you're on.
No, it's exactly right. That's you know what, that's absolutely right. And I just want to go back to, to something you said, about these traders. So look, like in an up market, right? When a market's going up, every trader's a genius. Everybody's a genius. You could buy any shit and it'll go up, and you look smart. Okay. The true measure of a trader is what happens in the down market, right? Because when you're trading a down market or a choppy flat market, like these are not easy terrains. But in an up market, it's simple. So they come over to crypto, they see the massive gains, they think it's like super easy, and they don't get it. And a lot of times they get sucked into the trap. You know what? Another thing that they don't realize is that everything is valued, whether they want to accept it or not. Okay, everything is valued in satoshis. So it doesn't matter that you have all these these other stupid tethers of shit coins. Nobody cares. Nobody's really using them. No one cares. So everybody only cares about their Satoshi count. Okay, like it makes no difference. Like you've got the fiat shitcoiners, okay, who just like trade for their fiat. They don't give a shit. And then you've got the shitcoin for more Bitcoin. And the problem is that the fiat shitcoiners, they're like doubly stupid. Okay, because their fiat number will go up because Bitcoin will go up, but the Satoshi count on their shitcoin will go down. So actually, that coin is worth less. So it's just all it is mind games. And these people, they come over here and they think it's going to be simple, and they think that they're going to go and make these massive gains. But at the end of the day, okay, it's even worse than penny stocks because it's vaporware. Literally absolutely nothing. Look, it used to cost, I don't know what it costs today, but back in like 2017, 2018, you can go spend like $20 and make yourself an ERC token. Okay, you spend 20 bucks, you can make yourself a max supply of it. Okay, and you can give yourself a pre-mine. Sound familiar? ETH, right? Give yourself a pre-mine and boom, your token comes to life. And then you could even go around to some really shitty exchanges and pay them to put it on. I'm telling you, it's like, and then what? There you go. Now you've got a shit coin. Like imagine these people. Imagine people are investing in this, and they think that we're assholes by steering them away from this. We're the bad guys from steering them away from vaporware. But
Pay
really,
attention, plebs. You just heard the origin story of Cum Rocket. No, but you're right. It's all vaporware. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No worries. It's all bullshit.
So what is everybody seems to have a little bit of a different definition. What does being a Bitcoin maximalist mean to you?
No, that is an interesting question. What does being a Bitcoin maximalist mean to me? You know what? I mean, obviously, the main thing is that I believe, that Bitcoin, above all, can take us out from under the central banker's control. So I is, like a firm standing in Bitcoin maximalism. It's, you know what? I think it also has to do with, desiring monetary freedom. That's also part of Bitcoin maximalism. Okay, so that's the other thing, right? Like, people will hate me for this type of stuff, but I don't really care. Like, I think that, like, all of the weird type of stuff that we have that comes along with quote unquote being Bitcoin maximalist, like, we've got like, like the carnivore people and stuff like that, and it's like, look, eating a certain diet doesn't make you a Bitcoiner. Right? Like, if you believe in Bitcoin and you believe in its promise, and you believe what we believe it can do for our society, then that's really what it takes, you know. But if if you're here for the wrong reasons, Bitcoin isn't going to bend to those reasons, and eventually it's just going to keep exposing you to yourself, and you know might not like what you see. But yeah, like I'd say that really, it has to do with the monetary freedom aspect.
I like it.
And only.
I like it. That was eloquently put.
Thanks.
Uh, so there's a. Oh, actually, on that note, do you eat any weird shit, or do you just eat like a normal human being?
Yep, just a normal person. You know what? One of my father's customers many years ago said to him, the important thing is just to live a balanced lifestyle. So, and that really is, I think that really is the truth. So, it's not to say, like you just don't eat too much of anything, right? Like, I mean, I'm sorry, but I just don't see how too much meat won't be bad for you. I mean, look, if you eat too many oranges, you'll get scurvy. If you don't eat enough, if you don't have enough vitamin C, you'll get scurvy. So obviously, there's a lesson in there. So, and I think it applies to everything. Maybe I'm throwing it with a blanket and it's bad, but to me, it's just, yep, try to be balanced, and that's the best you can do.
I agree. I had this weird moment when I like really dove into like Bitcoin full on, where I was like, am I the only fucking person who's like a maxi that's not an alcoholic? Or I feel like every podcast I listen to, everybody's getting hammered. You go on like Spaces, people are hammered. You go on Clubhouse, people are hammered. I'm like, it's not that bad yet, guys. You know what I mean?
I know. It's like that's the thing, right? Like again, so that's a good point. I mean, I personally, when I'm not hammered right now. I don't do any podcast hammered or anything like that. But yeah, I definitely agree that there's there's a theme. I know that there's a bit of a theme that grew from Tales from the Crypt, right? To have a good bottle of whiskey. And that's, don't get me wrong, I'm going to say that's classy, but I think if you finish the bottle, it's not so classy.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
I think it's one thing to have a nice drink and have a buzz and have a good chat. It's another thing to get totally plastered and be slurring and nobody understands a word you're saying.
Yeah, the meeting of the Mega Bulls. You know what I mean? Odell was cool for like the first 5 minutes he was on. By the end, he was like, "You're a fucking bear. You're a fucking bear. You're a fucking bear." I'm like, bro, you're when I leave the bar. You know what I mean? I love Odell. Don't get me wrong, but like when the dudes around me get like you, I fucking leave. You smashed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Fuck yeah, I'm drunk. Cool, bro, but like I'm here to hear why you're bullish. Not here to listen to you fight with fucking Bitcoin Tina.
Which sometimes can be tough to do because Bitcoin Tina, I mean, look, I've been in Clubhouse quite a few. So I've spoken with Bitcoin Tina a few times in DMs and stuff. And, like when I go into Clubhouse, like Bitcoin Tina, I don't know if I personally don't think he's like that all the time, but when he gets in Clubhouse, like he gets in like ultra bull mode.
Yeah, I love listening to him
That
scream
can be
at
like
people.
pretty overbearing, you know?
Yeah, I think that was half the reason that Odell was like down his throat that night, because that's usually how he is. But it was just epic to watch. Epic.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
American Hodl eating his fucking sandwich. Like, look at these fucking retards. He was half the reason that I like really got into like the maxi movement, right? And I know there's a lot of people that like take him or leave him. People don't like him. People think, I mean, you got that weird like division of Bitcoin Twitter where people are like, oh, this person's a spook, that person's a spook, this person's a CIA agent. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty fucking paranoid, but like some of this shit's just ridiculous. But like Hodl was just always fucking hilarious to me because he's me. He's a dick. You know what I mean? Like I'm a self-proclaimed fucking asshole. Like it's fine. That's just how I am. But I admit it. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh, I'm not an asshole. I just tell the truth. No. I'm a fucking asshole. And like I identified with him because he was a fucking asshole. I'd go into Clubhouse and listen to him talk, and I'm like, you're fucking hilarious. You are fucking hilarious. You just tell people how it is. And that shit's funny to me.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I definitely have always understood the allure of Hoddle. He's definitely an outspoken guy, says exactly what's on his mind and everything like that. Um, yeah, you know what? He's completely unfiltered. He's kind of changed. He's kind of changed though, in like the last year or so. So his message has definitely changed. I don't think he's a spook or anything like that. I reserve for Pedro McCormack. Um, I don't think he's actually CIA or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe I put on the conspiracy hat, and I think that Pedro is like a paid, like he's kind of like a paid informant or something like that.
I
Not
like
really.
people.
Huh?
I mean, people just, to me, people just throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. You know what
Of
I
course.
mean? Like, I got love for people, but like, I don't get me wrong. I got love for everybody until they give me a reason not to, and that's how I am in life too. But like to just be like, oh, you're a fucking spook because of this. You were in my fucking DMs asking me to do this, and it's like this is fucking high school bullshit.
Oh
Like
yeah.
nobody cares.
Oh
Nobody
yeah.
cares.
Oh my God. Okay, so that's an excellent point. Okay, so there is tons and tons of high school bullshit that goes on BT. And for the people that don't know that are going to listen to this podcast, BT is Bitcoin Twitter. So there's a lot of stupid high school antics, and it gets really cringe, and it gets really sad. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. Like I never think like look, don't get me wrong. Like my reservations about Pedro just have to do with the way that he pretends not to understand anything and plays this angle of well, because of ignorance I have an excuse to shitcoin, or not really shitcoin, but I have an excuse to you know bring people on my show that are otherwise controversial, but it's like it's not that they're controversial, it's that they shouldn't have a fucking stage, and you're giving them a stage and you're pretending that you're giving them a stage for a different reason than you're really giving them. So just be honest, and he's not. But besides that, right? Like I can't tell you how many different interactions I've had with different people, and I never think, it's like I may not look. You're not going to get along with everybody, right? You're not going to get along with everyone. Not everyone's going to like you. You're not going to like everybody. That's perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. But just because don't like somebody or don't get along with them, it doesn't fucking mean that they're a spook or fucking CIA or like that whole beef like between Samurai and Wasabi, where like they each think that both of them is like spy versus spy.
Yeah.
You know,
The whole
it's
fucking all the
and
shit where
they're
they
both
just
privacy. They're both privacy aspects to Bitcoin. Like, come on, guys, just fucking shake and make up.
yeah. The whole
There you
shit where
go.
they fucking assaulted, or I don't know if assaulted is the right word, but they fucking tore up Surfer Jim for going on Pedro's podcast.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, yo, I don't even give a fuck. Like, I like Surfer Jim. I think he's fucking cool dude. Like, I've listened to him. I think he's a knowledgeable dude. Like, I judge him based on his merits, not because he went on some fucking podcast and he just got absolutely ass fucked on BT for it. And I was like, that's kind of when I checked out and I posted that shit. I'm like, I'm really not trying to hear this fucking high school bullshit. Like, who gives a fuck? If you don't want to listen to him on that podcast, don't listen to him on that podcast. If you don't want him to, if you think it's bullshit that he went on there, fucking unfollow him. Nobody's making you follow him.
Yep. Yep, this is true. I stayed as far away from that shit. I've known Surfer Jim now for a pretty long time. I met him in Bitcoin kindergarten, when they first started, and he's always there. Anybody who wants to talk to him, they can go over there and hang out. And Surfer Jim always has a whole bunch of great stories and stuff. But look, this is the thing, right? Is that you're going to get backlash from these people. So I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that like he's wrong or something like that. But like personally, it's like these people attack, and I know that somebody would say that like, well, not answering back is weakness. No, but let me tell you something. Silence is absolutely destructive. Okay, so he could have not doubled down.
Yeah,
Okay,
this
that's
is
one
true.
thing. Could have not doubled down on going on Pedro's cast, number one. Like But at the same time, I don't think that the amount of harassment that happened was entirely deserved. So it was pretty rough.
I'm all
It
down
was
for a good trolling, but that was a little
No,
bit
I know
much.
that was pretty rough. But at the same time, right? Like, why? Okay, so why do people get so upset? Like people get upset because they see Pedro's podcast as like this filthy platform that doesn't deserve um, more amplification. So they get upset. People get upset that that his platform is seen as a place to amplify their signal. So it's like, like people go there and, they get to amplify their signal. So they think. But really what's happening is that you're just getting used by the Pedro show. So, but anyways, look, to each their own. I personally have no desire to go on that show or have
Come
anything to do with
on.
any of those people. No, nothing. I absolutely not.
You're not going on Pedro's?
No, but he's also not asking me. So, I mean, there you go.
He'll take you out for a drink in Miami if you come on his pod. That's
Oh
what I
man,
hear.
I hear he's taking everybody out for a drink. Him and his sponsor, they're paying for everybody to go out for a drink and listen to his shill fest.
Well, that's unfair.
That's unfair. Now you're being toxic.
Yeah, why do you have to be so toxic? There's so the last note that I want to say, right? And then I'll stop chewing your ear off and I'll let you get along with your night. But
Good chat.
dude, the fucking people I had to like set the record straight, right? You got people posting on like BT, right? Like, oh, plebs together strong, plebs together strong. I'm like, can we
What?
be fucking clear about something here? That's some Wall Street bets bullshit. And their WSB chairman was on Elon's fucking thread being like, there's no place for toxicity here. So fuck that. I won't be posting any together strong fucking bullshit. Some fucking, what was that? The bicycle guy with the fucking bracelets. That's what it makes me think of. Like, fuck you guys. I'm not here for some fucking charity fest to hold hands and sing kumbaya. It's Bitcoin or fuck you.
See, so you bring up an interesting point, right? Like this is one of the things that people think that it makes Bitcoins toxic, but this is the truth. At the end of the day, this is not fucking kumbaya, okay? Like the Bitcoin is the money of enemies for a reason, okay? It's trust minimized, and it doesn't mean that everybody hates each other. All it means is that we agree on the Schelling point that Bitcoin is, okay? So it's like I don't even understand what that plebs together strong is. I mean, yes, there's a whole bunch of Bitcoin plebs that stack the dips and stuff like that, but we're not all fucking kumbaya. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm trying to outstack the next guy that's fucking stacking.
Fuck yeah.
So, like, like and it's not that I'm trying to get more than him, but I'm trying to get as much as I can get, and so is he. So it's not all kumbaya,
Yeah, no, I'm not splitting my paycheck with you so we can both get some sats so everybody feels good.
Exactly. This isn't a feel good moment. It's one of those, and this is why I cringe when I see those stupid ETH dancing videos and the unicorns and everybody's all like la di da. Like, look, this is not how money works. Like, while you're sitting there singing and dancing, somebody in the background is getting totally fucking loaded while you're going broke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's socialism. It's the socialism of fucking cryptocurrency. Everything will be so great. We'll give everybody an equal amount of ETH. Well, really, behind the scenes, you got fucking a dozen people getting rich, and everybody else is digging potatoes in the fields of fucking Ethernet for the rest of the fields of fucking Ethereum for the rest of their life.
You know what? I go to this. There's this Telegram group called Wrecked Plebs. Okay, and you can see some of the posts, like people forward posts from other like DeFi groups and stuff like that. And I'm sorry, but there are, I mean, on a given, I feel like there's at least one rug pull every single day, and on some days there's multiple rug pulls, and you've got people losing tens of thousands of dollars in a matter of seconds. I mean, I think this is like the ICO craze on steroids.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. I had my buddy text me the other day. He's like, how's that Bitcoin doing? And I was like, honestly, all my shit's in cold storage. I don't even look at the price. Like, the only way I know the price is if I'm scrolling through Bitcoin Twitter and people are posting about it. Because if I'm not opening something, my cold storage is all in sats. It doesn't give me a US dollar equivalent. So why am I gonna? I have the same amount of sats I had in there when I put them in there. He's like, oh well, Ave's actually up. I was like, hold on 1 second, and I opened my phone. I was like, Ave's down 40% today. What the fuck are you talking about? He's like, I had that was a couple of days ago, I guess. Fuck. I'm like, dude, keep fucking around with shitcoins. I'm just gonna keep them all. I'm gonna take the same outlook that I have on stocks. I buy and I never sell. I just hold forever. Okay. You're gonna have a whole bunch of worthless bags and a tenth of a fucking Bitcoin in 50 years. That's what you're gonna have.
They just don't get it. They think so. So this is the other trick that's been pulled. I've seen so many people refer to their shitcoin bags as investments. Be clear, this is not an investment. This is gambling. You're going into a casino and you're gambling. There is absolutely no value behind the token that you own. The agreement that you never signed when you purchased the token, okay, means that you are entitled to absolutely nothing. So it's like what you did was you handed over your Bitcoin and they handed you a shitcoin. And now you have something that's worth absolutely nothing. And the sad thing is, again, this goes back to, what we were saying before, none of this needs to be money. It's the technology is fine. If it's worthwhile technology, it's going to get ported onto Bitcoin. For example, right? People sit there and they talk about the bullshit of oracles, right? Like you've got like shit like Chainlink and stuff like that, and they have some other shit coins, like something that like P Diddy fucking sponsored, or I don't know what. Anyways, who cares? Okay, so like this whole thing with oracles. Okay, so I got really interested in this stuff. And I started doing some digging, and it turns out we are able to do oracles on Bitcoin. Ben the Carman explained it a million fucking times. So did Nadav Cohen. As you know, they work for Surebits.
Yes.
And they were talking about DLCs, right? Discrete log contracts. So with that, okay, and PTLCs, which are point time lock contracts, okay, we are able to perform the work of oracles. And now soon I think there's like a waiting list for this, but there's this atomic.finance app, okay, which essentially allows us to do the same type of garbage shenanigans if we want on Bitcoin. But at least we're doing it on a sound money base. Like people will sit there and be like, oh, like that's hypocritical and this and that. You know what? Don't get me wrong, but at the very least, we're doing it on a proper sound money base where somebody can't go and fucking change the smart contract address on you and make your coins worth nothing. Okay, like none of that shit is happening because you can't pull that shit on Bitcoin. So there's that type of stuff, that is coming to Bitcoin, and if it's desirable and people really want to do it, then it'll have a place on Bitcoin. There will be an aspect of the casino that exists on Bitcoin.
That is the only way that I see shitcoins truly dying out is
Exactly.
if somewhere in layer 2 or layer 3 we actually call it what it is, a casino. You can come here and gamble on, using the Bitcoin network. You can gamble through some fucking platform that somebody's built. And that's exactly what it is. It's gambling. And people can come here and get that same fix that they want. That's the only way I see shitcoins dying, because everybody's going to think that they're always going to hit 1 million. The same reason that people walk into a fucking casino and think that, they're going to hit the next million.
Exactly. Right? How many people look, there's a reason why they say the house, the house usually, the house wins all the time, no matter what.
Always.
So, I mean, what do we think? Like, what happens when you go to Ethereum, right? You go to ETH and you go to the shitcoin casino with all the stupid tokens. Who ends up taking it all, right? You go to an exchange, you start trading. What happens? The exchange takes fees, right? Then after that, you've got the most likelihood of you not trading to success. Most likely will be trading to failure. So you'll have less and less of your shitcoin. I mean, look, it's just a losing proposition. This is something I've told people that like first get started, and nobody listens because everybody has to go through their own lessons. But the reality is that if I didn't shitcoin, if all I did was buy and hodl from the beginning, I would probably have like 3, maybe 4 times as much Bitcoin as I have today. So, to the people coming in, like, it's just not worth it. I know it seems like it's worth it. I know you think that you have to make this money now. I know that's how it feels, right? Everything is happening now. You've missed out. You feel that you've missed out. Everyone's getting rich but you, right? Like, that's what's
FOMO.
happening, right? That's what's happening. But it's not. That's not what's happening at all. That's just happening in your head.
Exactly. I try to explain to, that same friend that just says he's going to hold his shit bags. And I'm like, you realize that if you buy Powerball tickets, you buy 5,000 Powerball tickets, and none of them hit, in 50 years, your losing Powerball tickets are still not going to be worth anything. Like, that's what you have. You have a bag full of fucking losing scratch tickets that you're just hanging on to, thinking that they're going to be worth something someday.
That's pretty much what that is. Like, when you see people hoarding crap, like, that's what that is. But they're hoarding digital crap. Like, it's completely pointless. And to your point about Powerball, I mean, look, when it comes to the lottery, I'm sorry to say this, but it's a tax on the stupid. Like that. Don't get me wrong, my parents play lottery. Okay, so that's right. When it comes to this, like, it's a tax on people who are bad at math, but it's a tax on the stupid. Because people sit there and they go and they buy these lottery tickets. And then, of course, if you sit there and look at what somebody spent by the end of their life on lottery tickets, they probably could have done something way more worthwhile than lose at lottery. But then, of course, somebody will always come around and give you the stupid comment of, well, if they didn't buy a lottery ticket, they wouldn't have a chance at winning.
Yes.
Forget it, man. Listen, you don't win. The person that makes that comment, you walk away.
Yeah, I've watched my father buy a Powerball ticket and a Mega Millions ticket every single Friday my entire life. Entire life. I live in a small town, like a very small town. And one guy in town hit a scratch ticket for $1 million when I was 18, 19. Worst shit that could have ever happened to this town. They sell out of fucking scratch tickets. Still, the one liquor store in town never has fucking scratch tickets and never has fucking Powerball tickets. They're constantly selling out.
That's hilarious. And it's true. Like, that's what it does. And do you know, did you know that the guy, okay, so when somebody wins, all right, like some big amount like that, that they also pay the store. The store gets like some type of like a reward for that, for selling one of these winning tickets. So this guy's getting doubly paid. He's getting the bonus that he gets for selling that winning ticket. And on top of that, he gets a whole bunch of people that believe that they have a chance at winning because that store sold a winning ticket.
Yes. Yes. And they get the nice sign to hang in the window. Winning ticket sold here. It's insane to me. And it's the same thing. Honestly, if you look at it, it's the exact same thing as shitcoins. Because when if you hit 10 million, you're going home with 3 after taxes. Like, it's the same shit with a shitcoin, right? You happen to hit it right on a shitcoin. Well, guess what? You have to create a taxable event in order to even turn that into fiat or to turn it into Bitcoin. So you're fucked. Because you're going to lose everything you just won.
Exactly. So it's a lot of effort that's really not worth it. You're much better off. You buy and hodl Bitcoin. You don't have to pay any taxes on that. And until, of course, if you decide to, for whatever reason, withdraw into fiat, because you need it or something. I know some people who are paid in Bitcoin full time. So they have to, they do convert to fiat. And, like, that's when the government becomes aware that, you've got income. It really makes no difference. This is the other thing. It's almost irrelevant that it comes from Bitcoin. The government just wants, all they want is to make sure that whatever income you have, you claim so they can tax. They are the
just want their
gatekeepers.
piece.
That's it. That's all they want. They are the gatekeepers. As long as you give them their pay, they're happy. It's when they feel that they're getting fucked that you start to get screwed.
The funny thing is, I grew up under very Portuguese grandparents. I know you're from Canada, right?
Yeah, originally from Montreal. That's right.
All right. So yeah, there's a lot of Portuguese up there. So
Absolutely.
I grew up under very Portuguese grandparents, and I mean, you're talking about people that would tell me at 13 years old, like, even if you're working for cash, you got to make sure that you report that when you're finally paying taxes, because they will come and they'll take everything from you. Like this fear mongering that was just built into them. And I'm like, it's so insane. That mindset to me is so insane. They just live in constant fear that at any time the man in the suit can come knock on the door and take everything you've worked your whole life for.
That's awful. I mean, that is just living with like a shadow inside your mind. I mean, like that is really what that is. It's so bad. It's like, this invisible uh, you know, being is living rent free inside your head, and essentially influencing your actions. I mean,
And that
that's scary stuff. Like, it's like, especially cash. I mean, cash, no, don't get me wrong, but like, that didn't exist. That doesn't exist. What cash?
right, right. And I think that's, to kind of tie that in, I think that's what's so attractive right now to guys like me that are trying to get into home mining, that like, you're telling me that I can acquire and accumulate the currency of the future and the store of value of the future without having to pay taxes on it and without having to do it with fiat that I've already paid taxes on. Like it's like the perfect thing in my mind. Like how have I not seen, how did it not line
Mm,
up in my head before?
yeah. I think though it also matters on where we live. Like, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm in Massachusetts, and
Oof.
the electricity and everything, like, it's super expensive to mine. So I did mine a while ago, when I first got into this, and I stopped after like maybe 6 months because I really could not afford the electricity anymore. Like, I mean, it's not that I couldn't afford it, it's that it was just like, fuck this, I'm not paying this. I calculated I was just better off buying Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
And
I
I'm
mean,
not, like, for me, like, I can't look back because that was at a time when we were talking Bitcoin was at like 4K and Bitcoin was dead, and you know.
again,
Yeah.
Bitcoin died then too.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was right after the pump to 20K, right? We slowly got all the way down to like around like 34, 3,500 in like the real like bear market of like late 2018. And yeah, like that was a perfect time. Like, it was, Bitcoin was dead and nobody wanted any piece of it, and there was no way it was going to go to 20K. And everybody, like, even guys like Tone Vase, were like, yep, it's going to 1700, that's our next support. And that's totally obviously not what happened. So,
Well, you heard it here, plebs. Bitcoin died then. Bitcoin died this week. And guess what? Bitcoin's probably going to die again next week.
that's right. It dies. Man, Bitcoin fails to the upside. It crashes, right? Like, look at, did you see, what was it? There was a headline from Bloomberg Crypto, that Bitcoin collapsed. Okay, last year at this time we were at 9K. So now you're telling me that Bitcoin collapsed at 30K? Like, there's so, it's so psychotic, and people sadly believe this because they're like, well, it's true, it went to 64,000 and it collapsed to 30K. Like, are you really that stupid? Can you not zoom out?
Can you not see, the things that I pay attention to are like NY Dig
Oh
is
yeah.
still moving forward with bringing Bitcoin to a bank in your area.
Dude.
Like, do you think that Bitcoin is really dead, or do you think these institutions are accumulating while you're being dumb?
So yeah, and like, we've been going on for a while. So, but I
Yeah.
still have one piece though. I want to explain about what you're saying right now. So, okay, I don't like to compare Bitcoin to a stock, but let's just look at a company, okay? Like, let's look at a company, and let's look at a stock, right? Are stocks correlated to the underlying company? In most cases, like, they're somewhat correlated, but not really. And how so? Because you can have a market where the overall news is telling you that times are grim, money is tight, profits are down, right? But at a company, they're still manufacturing whatever they're manufacturing. They're still shipping whatever they're shipping. They're still growing at whatever pace that they're growing. The news is not, it's not like all of a sudden people at a company just stop and go, oh, well, they said the market's down, so we better just slow down production and stop doing everything. That's not how this works. So like when you're looking, like when people are sitting there and they're looking at Bitcoin and they're seeing the price fluctuate and stuff like that, the devs are still developing. Taproot's still like it freaking, you know what I mean? It's still they're still signaling. Like all of these things are still happening. And this is what you end up learning during the bear market, because all the noise is gone. You don't hear all these loudmouth idiots, talking about, all the stupid products that they're shilling and stuff like that. Everybody just shuts the fuck up. And all you hear essentially is what's being developed and what people are thinking of doing on Bitcoin. And it's
All the
beautiful.
miners I know are fucking hard right now. Ronin Miner, Hodl Tarantula, all them guys are like, this is fucking great. Hash is way down. We're gonna make a killing.
Of course, they're thrilled, and that's the point, right? It's funny you mentioned Hodl. I'm going to be talking to him on Sunday, I think. So yeah, I finally get to sit down with him. But yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. So you've got the miners, right? The miners are all sitting there. They don't give a shit. They're buying their hardware. They're getting ready. They're just trying to, get their rigs as big as they can. Then you've got all the people that sit there and actually develop on Bitcoin and add to Bitcoin. These people, they don't give a shit about the price. They're just constantly developing. You know what I mean? And even guys like on Lightning, right? Like MyNode and stuff like that. The guy at MyNode, right? Taylor, like this guy's just making update after update. Raspy Blitz guys like OpenNoms and oh my god, I'm terrible. And Christian, like these guys, man, they are constantly building and putting out new builds of Raspy Blitz so that you can have a free Lightning node with all the bells and whistles. Like man, it's and that's just that piece. Like we're not even talking about core devs.
Right. Exactly. Well, Coinicarus, I appreciate your time. As always, brother, it's a pleasure.
Dude, it's been amazing. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm going to just do a shill of, to find, to check us out on Simply Bitcoin, Bitvolt and I.
Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And yeah, I look forward to hearing you and Hodl get together.
All right. Good stuff, man.
All right. I'll talk to you soon, man. Later.
Cheers. Take it easy.